Today is August 27th, 23. They all scattered after yesterday, those two tapes, where I told you on Tuesday, on August 22nd, the main cop that went to Dave showed up, was talking to a lady. He said, none of this is funny. The FBI left her there, and we weren't allowed to tell her. So all these people that were saying they were FBI, and they were drug dealers. They were impersonating federal officers, running a big scam. It was a drug cartel. Okay? He said somebody started telling everybody nobody was allowed to help her. It got started. We don't know who started it. And it just got around, so we were only randomly checking on her. We found out all those things happened to her. Okay? And the lady said, well, did her ex-husband defend her? He said, yes. We taped him. Well, so did I. She said, did she talk to anybody? He said, no. She said, then they really did frame her. He said, yeah, I'd sign an affidavit to that. Said, and we did find out it was a medication error that made her sick, and it was verified, he was letting somebody else use her insurance before. She's like, none of this is funny. They left her there. And she said, was it the drug cartel doing it to her? He said, yeah, we seen them. We didn't realize it. They left me in hell. Well, like the Amish men with the beards, the cameras are running for a protected custody case. And I'm living through hell. You know, a couple Saturdays back, I was in Walmart 62. Some idiot went to say something about a mark. Oh, she was weird. The girl snapped at him and said, don't you dare say a word to her. We found out it was her ex-husband's girlfriend's drug friends doing it to her. The photoshopping of washing in another room. It was never weird. That's where all this is sick. And it makes me mad because think about it. I called the FBI, and where they these people released the tape of me talking to those agents, and they're laughing at me on a recorded line for being human trafficked. People got pissed. They're federal cops, and they're laughing at a victim that's being human trafficked and didn't understand what was happening. I was seen by Altman Family Physician for migraine headaches, dizzy, heart racing, almost passing out, giant bruises all over me, and a severe swollen personal infection. They're like, did you fall? And I said, no, and I don't know where all these bruises are coming from. Maybe you're becoming anemic. We'll get you some iron pills. We'll get you some from nausea, a headache, and a severe personal infection. I had to be on pills and creams almost all summer. Here and be a drug beat and raped. They're fake sodium pentothal. They're roofies. And what they did to me is considered needling. They put the roofie in a needle and a syringe, and they walk up and jab you. It takes about 45 seconds. I did research. You're sleepwalking for 4 to 6 hours. My one friend, I was talking to him, he said some guy was high. He was out of his mind. He said he was naked walking around her house. She woke up and some naked man's walking around his house. Was walking around talking. Didn't know where he was. She called the police on him. I hope he took those drugs willingly, because if not, somebody roofied him, stripped him naked, and shoved him in somebody else's house. That'd be really mean. See, that's where this would have been like those agents laughing at my coworker, Dar. She had a set of twins. One had died, and she was grieving really hard, so they talked her into getting a babysitter to take her out for a girls' night out. Well, she took a drink out of a drink, started acting happy. Finally, a group of people walked up and started talking to her and told her, let's go. She's willingly talking to them, laughing. The friends didn't think anything of it. She left with them. She found herself in a puddle of pee. She threw up the next day, dizzy, sick, could hardly sit up. 2 months later, she found out she's pregnant. She's arguing with the doctor, how could I be pregnant? I've not had sex with anybody. They had took her and raped her, redressed her, and left her in a puddle of pee. And she didn't even remember talking to those people. That would have been like those agents saying, did you know 3 guys raped you that night? Ha 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 ha. Do you know when they drugged you up and you were talking to them, they told you to say this? Ha 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 ha. And they should be saying, the bastards did what to me? They did what to me? And them laughing at her for being raped. It's that disgusting of them laughing at me as if they would have been laughing at her to what those bastards did to her that night. They were laughing at a human trafficking victim. Where I called the FBI, they drugged me up so bad that I couldn't get out of bed. The third day I made myself holding my head on the front porch. What's wrong with me? I got to call that guy back, and I'm holding my head, and I got air in my face, and I'm too afraid to leave, so I start mowing the lawn, trying to get enough air in my face. I got my head clear enough. I called Sarah. I already gave her information to the hotline, and I call her. And I said, is it okay if I use you for a witness? Of course, Karen. It's getting darker and scarier the way she's talking about it. So I go out and buy her car, put that agent's number in it. We go down to Apostolic Church, down to the mall. Her manager put it in her locker. We go up to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Paymer got into his face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. I walk off, and he's like, how dare you bring the FBI up here with threats on her life? Women walk up. He knows she's being drugged, being raped, and he said he didn't care. I walk off. I have bruises, throwing up, headache, lost 18 pounds, severe personal infection. Go in and sit down, and they follow me, and they say it again. Said if she was going to be faking, she was dead, and faking she got well, while that family were grieving. He didn't care what they did to her, and he's going to turn her back over to him. It was verified by officer. It was the agent that called me back that told on me. Dave told Danny, our son, that he talked to him. Okay. And Dave comes in and said, let's go. We get out in the vehicle. He threatens to kill me himself and swings at me on the way home until I almost jumped out on the highway I ran from. Next day, I call the agent back. I tell him someone told on me the night before. He called me a liar. It was verified it was him. He's dirty as hell. Okay? I told him about some guy that threatened to knife me. He calls me a liar. Was there a camera by the bench? I said, well, he tried to kidnap me before. He called me a liar. He is known as a kidnapper for the human traffickers, and the authorities know what he looked like. And I'm describing him. And he's calling me a liar. I want you to think of that. And I'm describing a known kidnapper for a human trafficking gang. And he's called me a liar. Was there a camera above the bench? I don't know. You either say you're lying or I'll put you in jail. I'm like, what? He said, now, was there a camera above that bench or not? I don't know. Then you say you're lying or I'll put you in jail. Fine, whatever. Now, he starts screaming more stuff at me. It's like, fine, whatever. He can't bully me into false statements. It's obstruction to justice, tampering with evidence, and tampering with witnesses. Exactly what he did. Okay? Why would the FBI help a person like you? Well, they're going to kill me. So, a cop is telling you, so you're going to die. I tell him they try to kill me. So, and he's a cop. Hire a police officer. Saying so. The guy yells out, well, we could use Pete's weird with yourself. He starts giggling. Stop, she don't know. They're yelling out my rapist's name. I said, what's going on? They yell something about Pete again. He starts giggling. Stop, she don't know. I said, no, what? And he starts giggling. Stop, she don't know. Give me a real reason why we should help you. Well, I told him about my brother-in-law that worked for Dick Cheney. And he's like, fine, I'll list you informant. I'll open up an account with $5,000 a month. You'll have that money to live on from now on. Let's see. Life of peace as an informant. Nothing legally stated, dated against you again. No man will ever touch you. I'll make sure of it. Okay? And even when you tell, we'll always put it back to the traffic ticket. And you can't be legally charged for anything again for working this case. And you have that money to live on. Okay? Then he flip-flopped if I told. I told my friend from the Stark County prosecutors, he started laughing until I almost cried. He said, for one thing, that agent can't bully you into false statements. The police know they can't go along with it. He said, and he can't ask you to stay quiet. He don't have that kind of authority. He's just hire law enforcement. It takes a sitting judge to put a gag order on you. And he said the police know that, and he can't ask you to stay quiet. He don't have that kind of authority. He was bullying you, so they get away with this. The only thing legal he did was list you informant with immunity and money. And as far as the FBI, they can never legally drop you. The Department of Justice will put them in jail. Once the government agrees to protect you, they cannot unprotect you, or they'll be arrested. They can put you in another witness protection program, and you can tell whoever you want in any witness protection program, and they can't open their mouth against you. Now, those agents were laughing, acknowledging a man stalking me. And he's framing me. And they're laughing at me that the man that's human trafficking me is running a scam on me. And they're mocking the victim that doesn't understand. They released that tape of that agent. Those agents mocking me. Mocking me. Mocking me. It backfired on them. People are pissed. The FBI made fun of her for being human trafficked. The FBI, then more of them. I'll clear up into Akron. From Canton up into Akron. The FBI made fun of her for being human trafficked. Those two agents were making fun of her for being drug beat and raped, and she didn't understand what was happening to her. And they were laughing at her on a recorded line. They better take care of those two idiots. Those two idiots stole my informant money and left me up there to die. See, that people had said that's the one the police take care of. Okay? And some of them that came up to me and even said, Karen's Will is actually a group of investigators. They work the case. And they take turns watching her. Will was supposed to protect her. Now we do. Yesterday, people were yelling out. It was a group of investigators let all this happen. And the FBI needs to take care of them. See, where the main cop that went to Dave. He said someone started that nobody was allowed to help her. Well, they knew better. Come on. That's where the Tuscarora sheriff said, you can never tell anybody not to believe somebody and not to help them. You go to jail for that. Failure to protect is abuse and misconduct. It could be a life sentence. See, that's where they were actually saying that Will, the FBI agent Will, was actually telling people that they weren't allowed to help me. And he was using those pathetic people that were conning people from their kid getting killed in a traffic accident in 2003. 20 years ago. Her dad ran a stop sign, ran his vehicle right into a semi, showing off, blew through a stop sign into a semi. It was her father's fault. He killed her kid. If he would have lived, he would have went to jail for murder, or at least for vehicular homicide. He was showing off in front of other church people and blew through the stop sign. Didn't even try to stop. They all seen him. Right into a semi and killed them both. It was a horrible traffic accident, but it was his fault. And he didn't even try to stop. Strange made it up 4 months later after I stood up for Brian Laney, and my sister was following Tim, which is Strange's son. My sister's married to him, and he was cheating with this girl, Katie. And she was following him around, catching him cheating. Well, one day she came up to me and said, I think they thought it was you. And then all of a sudden, Strange, that lied on Dave White, lied on Ron, lied on Joe, lied on Heather, made up a lie on me. That you were faking, you were sick, and faking you got well while that family was grieving. They knew better than that. They watched me go through those surgeries. They watched me swell up like a balloon. And then they watched me over 9 months get better and get stronger and pull myself around streets, allotments, stores. And I was it took me 9 months of working my ass off to get well. Strange made it up, but he was an occult leader with a very low education. He had a high school diploma from the 50s. You had to add, subtract, read and write, multiply and divide to have a high school diploma in the 1950s. That's all he had. He only had a minister's license because a group of ministers across the parking lot got 10, 15 guys together, taught some Bible classes and signed license. That's it. He only had that church because he paid that He bought that building out from underneath that guy by paying so much for 20 years. That's it. He's an occult leader. That rule, like he said, he owned the building. He owned the building. And he ruled it with fear and lies. And he lied on me. The stupidest lie on earth. Everybody had watched me go through all those surgeries, watched me swell up like a balloon, and then they watched me over 9 months go from a 24 down to a 16 and getting stronger and better every day and always working out. And 9 months later, I got well. 2 months after the traffic accident, Strange made it up because I stood up for Brian, and they thought it was me following his son. So they got rid of me out of the church, told a lie. And Ron and Lisa ought to be ashamed of themselves. Her father killed her kid, and then want to get even with me that I had nothing to do with it, just sat in their church. And they knew better. I even talked to them about remission. Fibromyalgia goes into remission 80% of the time. And what makes you swell up like a balloon and everything quit working? Medication errors. All my family physicians told us to sue those doctors. They almost killed you. They were falsely diagnosing you to keep you sick and have you come back and rip off your insurance company. Then they were sharing you with their friends. There's nothing wrong with you, but your muscles locked up from having all those surgeries. Get off that medications. You'll be fine. And I was. They're purposely making you sick, ripping you off. They were. It was happening a lot back in the early 2000s to 2010. Okay. Now, and even Dr. Eli said that. We got to get your muscles to unlock. Once we get off that medication, you'll be surprised how fast you get well. Lost 30 pounds the first month. All right. And they Altman Family Physician actually encouraged us to sue them for 2 years. And Dave and I talked about suing them for making me so sick and almost killing me. All right. And then that lady was using my insurance, one of his baby mamas, for 30 years. My brother even remembers her. My mom would. Weird phone calls of staying in hospitals I didn't stay at the time. Seeing doctors I didn't see. We got stuck with those medical bills. Because back then, you didn't have to have ID. If you didn't have your insurance card, you just called it in later. And I would tell people I didn't stay there and I couldn't prove it, and we got stuck with the bills. She's been impersonating me for 30 years. What's really sad is where they said that she had 2 little girls, 2 grown women showed up and said they were actually them. They had to be them, because how would they have known about it? My brother remembers. It was one of Dave's side girlfriends. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this. But yeah, somebody needs to do something about this. I told the Department of Justice and the Oversight Committee reporting fraud. Those agents opened a real case with statements. Like they said, if the police could not be in my home and watch me, if they wouldn't have listed me informant with statements. It's illegal. It's called entrapment. My friend from the prosecutor's office said I heard of a weird case of an officer surveillancing somebody on their own. The guy found out. He went to a judge. The judge pulled that officer in front of him, said that man had a right to privacy. He had no right in his home, and I could never look or listen to it. And you knew better. And he can sue you for this. That officer can go to jail for 2 to 20 years. It's called entrapment. So what the hell were those agents laughing at? Some retired judge is running sextortion schemes on private citizens, breaking in their home, human trafficking, drug them, beat them, rape them, photoshopping them. Some retired judge, like the judge in Florida that had 100 men working for him, was running a human trafficking scam. Pete's running it, one of his. There was Andrew Arabic up there running a sextortion scheme, taking people's pictures off of Facebook and Instagram, making them dirty, photoshopping them in videos. He's 12 years federal. Pete's actually breaking in private homes, stalking people, having the drug cartel go in and drug them up with amnesia drugs, tell them to say something stupid, then Photoshop shower scenes of washing. That's why nobody knew about it. Then they already admitted it was. That's where a week ago Thursday, I was up in Akron. Lady walked by, said even the drug dealers they hired to watch her, they don't even think this is funny. The guy said, did she do anything wrong? I said, no. The drug dealers already confessed everything was them. And they made fun of the FBI for falling for it. How could they fall for a drug scam? Are they going to do anything bad, anything to him? Or take care of this? She's like, we don't know. And I asked her ex-husband. They did say it was a medication error. They did tell him to sue him. He let all those people do all those things to her. And he didn't even tell him he knew it was a medication error. And he let all those people hurt her. He had no right to let those people hurt me. I look at these people that participate in this. It's like, do you not have an IQ? They publicly mocked FBI agent John, June 7th, 23, Walmart 62, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning by the front bathroom. Lighthouse Tabernacle, how they fooled him. Cackle like jackass. Huh? Eric made fun of everybody for falling for it. November 18, 22, Walmart 62, 2 to 6 p.m. And they still have the tapes. Him confessing everything was him and not me. And then over the last years of drugged and told to say stuff to the shower scene and photoshopping everything and stalking tapes. What the flying fuck were they laughing at? People being scammed in their own home and violated? They still owe me that money. And like my friend from the prosecutor's office, they can never drop you. I'm going to flip this.